Alright guys, so today we got some pretty big news in that we are getting a spin-off of American Horror Story. Now, before I get into any of the specifics, if you haven't heard about this already, I have to say, it's been kind of a crazy few months when it comes to this franchise. I mean, literally, we were on the cusp of just not having any more. 10th season would be the last season. It was the last one renewed. And even though they were talking about it and it was highly speculated that they were going to continue it on for at the very least season 11, maybe even season 12, let alone season 13. And even Ryan Murphy at that point had said that he wanted to go all the way up to 20 seasons. He's not ready to give it up. At least at that point, a couple of months ago, we had no idea whether or not season 10 would be the last one. But now, not only are we getting season 11, 12, and 13, but today Ryan Murphy announced on his Instagram sharing a photo of everybody on a Zoom call. Pretty much anybody that you can think of that has ever been on American Horror Story. He said not only are they working on season 10, but they're also gearing up to do a spin-off series that's going to be called American Horror Stories, and it will be focusing on episodic anthology stories. You know, think about Black Mirror, think about The Twilight Zone, and pretty much any type of anthology television show before American Horror Story, right? Because one of the big things about American Horror Story when it first came out was every single season was going to be a completely new and original story that didn't have to pick up where the last season left off. That's what made that kind of innovative. Now, I have to be very honest with you guys here. I read the headlines of this news, right? Like at the very beginning of this morning, I was like, oh my God, a spinoff? Is this going to be like the Witch Coven thing? I mean, Ryan Murphy talked about recently that we hadn't seen the last of the Coven. Yeah, like I have to say, I kind of got my hopes up on this one. I was really thinking that he was going to expand the Coven story in a spinoff, as he had been kind of talking about and mentioning over the last couple years, especially since Apocalypse, but that doesn't really seem to be the case at this point. And in fact, at the time of recording this, although we don't know anything about this series, we don't even know if it's going to connect to the greater story of American Horror Story, whether it's going to have anything to do with the Coven Witches or anything from Asylum or anything else from all the other seasons, or if it's just going to play its own game and tell its own stories, completely devoid of everything else that went on in the previous 9 seasons of the flagship show. Anyway, one of the reasons I was a little bit underwhelmed with the news after I read the story and got the full context is I just don't think that's what you do with American Horror Story. As I already kind of alluded to, one of the reasons I love this series is that it allows for the story to be told in a long-form process throughout an entire season's worth of television and doesn't try to contain its entire story within an hour block. Now, by no means am I saying that you just simply can't do that. I mean, as I already said before, you just have to watch The Twilight Zone. It's a fantastic television show. Black Mirror does it amazingly. But the problem is that am I going to be invested enough to care about this individual story or the next? And honestly, one of the things that is still bugging me about this news is what's going to make this series stand out, where The Twilight Zone or Black Mirror or any other episodic anthology series that has either already come out or is currently on the air. And I honestly really want you to think about this. One of the reasons I think that this could be really great for the series is I think the creative team can figure out a way to tell compelling and also horrifying stories in an hour's worth of the time. But is it going to be compelling? Is there going to be a reason for us to keep coming back? The Twilight Zone at its best is horrifying. At its worst, it's engaging. It gives you something to think about. Honestly, I think one of the reasons I come back over and over again to American Horror Story as one of my favorite anthology series of all time is because of the characters, the actors, and the roles they get to play throughout an entire season. If the amount of talent that Ryan Murphy constantly brings to every single one of his projects is brought into this show, what are they going to do with the characters that they're going to portray if it's only just a singular episode? That needs to be some really tight writing, and honestly, the people that write this show I don't think are capable of figuring out a story to be told in an hour instead of one far more compelling over the course of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, or 13 episodes. Plus, the world of American Horror Story, even though it has witches and vampires and ghosts and everything else that we've seen over the last 9 seasons, is there something that we're going to see as an audience that's going to engage us, to make us think beyond the show if it's not all that scary? Right now, I don't really know the answers to these questions. I love the fact that Ryan Murphy is expanding this universe. I've talked about recently some of the story updates for season 10, whether or not they're going to delay it and how they can do something in its place that would somehow allow for more American Horror Story content to be released in 2020. But just knowing that we have multiple more seasons of the flagship show, as well as a spin-off in the works, that's a lot for me. I'm very excited to see what the future has in store for this franchise, and I hope you guys are as well. I will be crossing my fingers for this series, but I really want to know more about it before I start really projecting my excitement, because at this point, I don't know what makes it stand out from all of the other things vying for that particular niche of audience awareness. Anyway, with that being said, I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I hope you are all staying well and safe, that everyone that you love is safe and healthy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. It's been real.